we're going to talk about precisely whatever we want, no matter how COVIDiotic it is. So let's get right into it. First of all, we are streaming this live to Twitch. So that's part of the purpose, is to put stuff out there so quick that you get to inform people that you look like a douche while wearing that mask. Now, I'm not going to get into why you look like such a douche while wearing that mask, at least not at this moment, but you look like a douche. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you think that you're making yourself and other people safer by wearing that stupid, moronic mask, well, more power to you, because psychology is becoming increasingly important. And while I don't want to study psychology, because I'm not interested in the machinations of stupid people's brains, I am interested in the effects of society as they affect me in an unfortunate fashion. So in any case, thanks everybody for tuning in to the latest episode of The Diamond Anvil. Too hard to smash. And our co-host is currently indisposed. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just talk about various things which I am interested in talking about. So let's get started. As I talk about whatever the hell I want to. That's the whole point of the show. And the first thing is whether or not farts are able to transmit the coronavirus. So while I don't care what the answer to this question is, and by the way, since I look like a complete ass moron who does not have any idea about how COVIDiocy really works, much less my own. Don't dress like a moron. Will you please stop with the masks in public? Dave Schwartz, leave me a comment. One of the best skaters ever in the Lehigh Valley, Dave Schwartz, leave me a comment. Anyway, we've got various things to talk about. First of which is whether or not coronavirus can be spread through farts. So yeah, that's a real concern now. So if you now walk into a public restroom and you smell the horrifyingly scary, spooky smell of flatus, hopefully you will have enough layers of filtration between your face and the poop particles. And assuming that that's the case, you may survive a visit to the public bathroom. We're pulling for you. We're pulling for you, and we're very, very concerned because, you know, coronavirus, it's super spooky because reasons. Now, let's talk about one of the best things you could possibly do. Well, how about drink coffee? All right, just kidding, folks. It's not really one of the best things you could possibly do. But drinking coffee is pretty good for you, especially if you drink filtered coffee. Now, as being somebody who drank French press coffee for, I don't know, the better part of a decade, if not more than a decade, I recently discovered, and shout out to you, Terrence Leonard, who helped to bring to truth the fact that unfiltered coffee is bad for you. Hey, what can you say? The science is the science. So, as an example of what makes you not ossified in your beliefs, let it be known that when the whole entire technique of my morning completely changed to unbleached coffee filtered coffee, because you got to use unbleached filters in a coffee maker and not a French press, and yada yada yada. It's a huge deal. So back me up, David Dubine, if you're watching, about the unbleached coffee. So in any case, there are many reasons to consume filtered coffee instead of unfiltered coffee. Some countries call it boiled coffee, and so that's a thing. Believe it or not, one of the main contributors to the demise of your health is homocysteine, and the homocysteine certainly has effects on your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and there are all kinds of factors that get into your coffee if it's not filtered. So, and we're not talking about just pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides here. And while that is part of it, and while some of that does not get filtered out by filtering your coffee, certain components do. So the difference between drinking filtered coffee and unfiltered coffee, and organic coffee versus non-organic coffee, are huge. Switch to organic filtered coffee if you have the ability to do so, because it's pretty serious. So that's just one little factor besides, oh, and don't forget the last article we covered. Don't be going out and sniffing farts. Farts are very dangerous. Very dangerous. Now, next we're going to cover an article here about more odors. And we're not talking about farts. We're talking about dogs being able to detect COVID-19. So there's another technology you may be interested in, as my illuminated microphone falls into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of doom and destruction. So anyway, that is a new thing. Mankind's best friend being trained to detect COVID-19. Now, to those of you who've studied the way the human mind works and the way science works in general, you may not be particularly surprised by this, in that dogs are able to predict epileptic seizures and all kinds of other diseases. And let's change our background here, as we've seen too much of the 171 angstroms. It's time to switch to the 304 and talk about other stories. So let's also talk about the latest information about COVID-19. As I'm sure you're not concerned about any COVIDiocy associated with COVID-19, I'm sure everything is just fine and COVID-19 is not messing up your life, or governments, or some other entities are totally not interfering with your life in inappropriate fashions, right? All right. I'll be right back. Holy cripes. All right, that was tasty. So, we're looking at an article on ScienceAlert.com, and we're going to determine in real time whether or not it is a sharticle. So, to quote the article published today on ScienceAlert.com, in the midst of a global pandemic, conspiracy theorists have found yet another way to spread dangerous disinformation and misinformation about COVID-19, sowing seeds of doubt. Now, they said doubts, but since their grammar and writing are terrible, we'll correct them. Sowing seeds of doubt about its severity and denying the very existence of the pandemic. Now, I don't know if you know, but I personally know some complete COVIDiots who think, for some reason, that there is no virus, it's made up. Whether or not they think it's caused by 5G or what the hell is going on deep, deep in the lead-based recesses of their minds, I don't know. I have no response except to say, what the hell are you talking about? And the reason I don't say what the hell are you talking about to the actual people is because I don't want to know what they're talking about. I don't want to hear anything they say, but they say it anyway. So there's some weird stuff going on when it comes to COVID-19, and it largely has to do with people identifying themselves as morons who know nothing at all about any of the science, whether it comes to immunology, epidemiology, virology, biology, physics, astrophysics. There is so much nonsense out there that I suggest you tune into the channel. I don't know what else to tell you. Actually, I do. Because I have a plan. It's not a stupid one. It's a smart one. And one of those things to include in their plan is perhaps to watch The Ninth Gate, starring Johnny Depp. Now, it's a very elitist, goofy movie. It's about a high-end book collector, or I guess a book broker. He's a book sales broker, really is what his job is. I don't know what it says on Wikipedia. I don't really care, but The Ninth Gate is an interesting film about human superstition and the way that it relates to whether or not your soul is being cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of doom and destruction, punctuated by lies and terror, or whether or not you're believing a bunch of total BS. So, without further ado, let's not talk about The Ninth Gate anymore, but if you have Amazon Prime, it's free for you on Amazon Prime. The Ninth Gate, it's like 2+ hours. It's pretty good. If you hate Johnny Depp and you don't want to look at his face for so many hours, then don't watch it, because his face is on the screen for a long time. Which brings me to the, oh hi, I'm touching my face segment. So one of the things that I like to do is reduce entropy and help people to feel better about their lives. No matter how good or pathetic they might be, one of the things I like to do, especially during a spooky global pandemic, is to touch my face 4,000 times. So just to share with you what's going on here, every time I return home now when I'm out in public, like if I go to a grocery store or some other horrifying place of human entropy and stupidity, one of the things I like to do when I get home is, so I'll shower, I'll do all that stuff. And then when I get out of the shower, what I'll do is I will just touch my face 4,000 times. And I can't get enough of this. I think it's extremely therapeutic. As right now, if you go into public and you touch your face even once, much less cough or look at somebody the wrong way, they're going to be pretty concerned about whether or not you're the Antichrist. So that just seems to me like all the more reason to behave as the Antichrist, or whatever they perceive as the Antichrist, and hence I don't really care. Let's talk about assets and liabilities. Because one of the purposes of having the Diamond Anvil Too Hard to Smash videos in the first place is to discuss the relationship therein. So we've got a lot of liabilities on the planet. We've got a lot of assets on the planet. And without making the distinction between what those are, as those are probably terms that you could look up, I'm going to get a call right now. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to put the phone up to the mic. Let's see what this is. Hello? Your call's being recorded.
This is an attempt to reach you regarding your student loan qualification for reduced payment or loan forgiveness program.
Oh my gosh, my student loan qualification. Tell me more. Tell me more. Just kidding, folks. Since we're doing a live stream where people actually watch, we're going to just decline that call, since this particular live stream is not dedicated to making fun of, making pathetic, and laughing at, and wasting the time of scammers who are trying to get you to pay money to sign up for various programs that aren't real. So anyway, we've got even more stuff here. By the way, if you want to get the ultimate song stuck in your head, the catchiest song ever, check this one out. Midnight Phantom by Lucifer. It's available on YouTube. Midnight Phantom. Here's a tiny clip, which will not get us demonetized. This is the last goodbye to... Oh, wait. Hey, you. I'm sick of your shit. Thank you, son. Oh, what's that? It turns out UV light and heat kill coronavirus? If you could even say kill for something that's not alive in the first place? Oh, well, thanks. All right. Well, we're gonna cover you again tomorrow. Don't sweat it. All right, cool. All right, we'll be back, and thanks. Holy crap! You made me vanish. What's going on here? Oh my gosh, the sun has taken over, folks, and I am scared right now, unnecessarily, I think. Hey, thanks, son, for the non-deadness. Talk to you soon. Look at that. That's a polite star we have there. I really like it. Let's show some other images. How about the rare 211 angstroms? We don't look at it much. By the way, we've created playlists for the channel, and we're slowly working the way through all the content to put it into playlists so you can watch all the content all in one link. So enjoy that. Here's a 211 angstroms view. And let's talk about, before we talk about over-the-counter drugs, let's talk about assets versus liabilities. So a lot of people may be wasting your time and your life by trying to convince you that they're assets and not liabilities. Many assets may even be trying to convince you that they're not liabilities. But think about it. What happens if you have oil that costs negative $42 a barrel? What do? Well, it turns out that when your oil costs more than the barrel in which it's contained, to quote Peter Schiff, it's garbage. And that is not to say by any means that fossil fuels need to just end. Don't put me on the cart of AOC or Bernie or other idiots that don't understand the first thing about economics, yet want to control the economy. Assets and liabilities. It's a super important thing to understand, because when it comes to any asset, you must determine whether or not that asset is also a liability, right? They even themselves out. If you have this asset, which has this many liabilities and this many assets, what do you know? It may be a liability to have that asset. So that's an important thing to understand. And I challenge you to ask yourself right now what you would be if the world ended today. Would you be an asset or would you be a liability? Well, if you're a liability, what does that mean? That means you're a danger to your neighbors, possibly even your friends. Have you considered what will happen if a Walking Dead universe starts today? Part of the thing that makes a Walking Dead universe is some kind of a disaster that happens right now. And let me just step aside and allow you to look at the sun for a minute to understand the gravity of the situation. Now we are coming at you from the smAsh bunker. And you can probably hear that rumbly sound in the background. Hear that? That's the distinct sound signature of the smAsh bunker. Don't be alarmed. The world has not ended yet. Otherwise we couldn't do this live stream, could we? So anyway, folks, let's talk about a couple more subjects here and close this thing out. We're going to talk about some over-the-counter drugs. So first of all, let me reanimate that. There you go. We're going to mention 3 over-the-counter drugs. And they overlap a little bit. Just bear with me. Now, one drug that everybody should have in your preps is a very, very simple thing. Benadryl, also known as diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine could save your life, okay? You get stung by a bee. Maybe you weren't allergic throughout your entire life. You get stung by a bee. You chew up 2 of these, and while it might put you to sleep, it might also prevent your death because of the way it works regarding the histamine reaction to allergens. So diphenhydramine, otherwise known as Benadryl, could save your junk. If you have a giant prepping repertoire full of stuff, you have no diphenhydramine, this could save you from requiring an EpiPen. So, do you have EpiPens? They're very expensive. They cost over $100 a piece last I checked. Diphenhydramine. Next, mucus relief for chest congestion, starring a product called guaifenesin. Now, whether this makes you more or less likely to die from things like COVID-19 are another story, but this is an ingredient available by itself, and I recommend you buy any kind of a molecule like this by itself to figure out the effects on you. Guaifenesin is a real thing. And as a pro cyclist, let's just say that I've tried a lot of different remedies for different maladies. Now, to get back to where we're going, one of the best things you could possibly imagine to have in your medicine cabinet is the Broncaid. Now, let me just bring myself up on the screen here to make sure this is visible. The Broncaid. It consists of ephedrine hydrochloride and guaifenesin. Now, I'm not going to get into why that is. Let's just say, watch Breaking Bad. You'll have some idea of why you can't just sort of buy unlimited quantities of this. But this is based on a plant alkaloid, Broncaid, ephedrine. It could allow you to survive an otherwise deadly respiratory outbreak. So, just wanted to cite that. And you can buy it over the counter. In most states, at least in Pennsylvania, you'll be required to show identification, because if you buy huge amounts of this stuff, you can become one of Walter White's colleagues, if you know what I mean. So, those are 3 things. Guaifenesin, diphenhydramine. Again, it'll put you to sleep, but it might prevent your inflammation to the point where you survive, as well as ephedrine. So, just 3 other things to consider. And believe me, folks, these are not performance-enhancing substances. These are not things that can allow you to win the Tour de France. There's a reason why Tour de France racers consume the drugs that they consume and push the barrier forward on which drugs to consume and which drugs not to consume. So anyway, that's about it. I'm going to drink some Rolling Rock, I'm going to look at one more view of the sun here and call it a day. Now, I don't usually drink Rolling Rock because it's kind of gross. But here's the latest image of the local yellow dwarf in 131 angstroms. It looks aqua blue. It takes a lot of images. And this area down here is not likely to be a sunspot. But we'll keep an eye on it anyway. And when I say eye on, well, the pun is... you get the idea. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Here ends The Diamond Anvil, Episode 3, Too Hard to Smash. We'll talk to you soon. Look for new content. And by the way, we have new playlists on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/smAshomash. Playlists to make more convenient your dissemination of real information. Again, we'll talk to you soon. And watch that local yellow dwarf.